Changao.
Changao.
Let's cheers in Thai. Oh.
And just small little Thai beers.
Yeah, this is like $2.50 for 620 milliliters.
Like these are bigger than the menu.
This is two beers. This is bigger than the menu. How you doing? It's nice to be out of quarantine jail, man.
It is. That was 15 days of pure boredom, really.
Yeah.
Two English channels, and
there's two?
Yeah.
I didn't turn on my TV past day one.
Mine never went off. I just flipped between two channels, mostly channel 111, which was Warner Brothers. Lots of like
I didn't even go past
and
16.
Superman and shows like that on
Okay.
it. Legends of Tomorrow. So should I watch at home?
Cool.
So it worked out good, except for you watch the same 7 shows throughout a day and a bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they just go on repeat. They just cycle through the morning. So like the shows the new releases that were in the night are played through the next day until the night again.
Oh, okay.
So made it really tough to watch. I watched the season premiere of The Flash 4 times.
4 times?
4 times.
By the 3rd time, aren't you like, ah?
Yeah, well, that and Superman. What else was I going to do, man?
It's like listening to, you could work out, you can...
Well, I was working out.
Okay.
Like,
you sure?
Yeah, 20 minutes a day. With my trusty band from our good friends back home.
Yeah. Cheers to all our friends back home.
Cheers.
Changao.
Changao.
To you. So, tell everyone about almost not getting into Thailand. That was crazy.
That was the worst experience of my life.
Really? Of your entire life? You've lived a good life then.
I think so, man.
You must have been terrified.
I was terrified, man. I was losing my shit. I thought I was gonna end up getting arrested because I was like, there's no way these guys are not letting me into this country. I was like, after everything I did to get here.
So let's tell everyone about that experience. I guess from landing in Bangkok to eventually getting allowed into the country.
Oh, it was, so we land in Bangkok, we go in, we do our thing, we have to sit down, fill out all our paperwork.
That took a long time. I forgot about that.
That was probably 25 to 30 minutes of that process.
Which we had to do 3 separate times. We had to do it once when we sat down, fill out a little blue card, and then we had to go to a couple other desks and fill out basically the same information.
Same information, yeah. And then, so I got lucky on the last one the last one we did before we got into the customs area. I was seated at the front row, so I got to be the first one to go through customs.
Maybe that wasn't such a lucky thing.
No, I was the first one to go through customs on our plane, and I was the last one to go through customs through the next 3 planes after ours. And I was still standing there waiting, and they wouldn't let me in.
So, when we were we had to go to this counter, and I believe there was custom agents there who asked for all our paperwork. So the things we needed to show were negative COVID test, our Airbnb, which is where we're filming this from now, our ASQ, which we just got out of, and I think that was in our certificate of entry.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
So we had to show that to the one desk.
Yeah, and that was right before the customs desk.
Yeah, so tell people about your experience.
30 feet away. So that was fine. I walk up, I show them my paperwork.
Did they ask you any questions?
No, they asked me zero questions. So they put me through.
So before you do that, because when I got there, they asked me about the Airbnb address. They said, well, what's the address? And I showed them, and it said, our address was just a province and a zip code.
Yeah.
And that's it. The city, province, and zip code. There was no
street,
address.
Nothing. No building number.
When I got asked that question, I said, this is all we got. This is all we were provided. And we got through the embassy, and we got to Japan, and we Everything else was a breeze,
Yep.
basically.
And we
It
had
took a
to
long
show,
time.
and we had to show all the same paperwork.
Yes,
We had to show
and-
it in Regina, we had to show it in Vancouver, we had to show it in Japan, and then
Never
we had to
really
show
had
it
an
in
issue.
Bangkok 3 times. But up until the third time that I had to show it all
Which
in
is the
Bangkok
final step.
was the final step to actually clear customs into the country, then it was an issue.
So I go through customs, and they ask me about where I'm staying, and they asked about an address, and I said, this is all we got. And then stood there for about 10 minutes, and then just got waved through. So I'm sitting in this van, which has all this like poly everywhere to separate people
Yeah.
from COVID.
Each seat was
Each
all
seat
wrapped
was-
in its own plastic.
It was like that scene in. I feel like there's a scene in E.T. where they have E.T. and.
Oh, maybe.
Anyways, it was weird, and so there's this older guy who's just sitting in the van, and him and I became best friends because we were chatting for about 2 hours.
So it was
Waiting for,
like I said, there was 3 other planes that landed in Bangkok, and they got through all of that process of going through the 25 minutes to 30 minutes just to get to the customs department, the desks where I was being held. And I'm watching everybody go through, and I was starting to get mad, and I couldn't get a hold of you.
Yeah, so obviously when we flew, we had our phones on airplane mode, and I tried to. There was some sketchy internet. I tried calling you 3 or 4 times.
But when we first landed in Bangkok, I connected to the Wi-Fi at the airport.
Yeah.
But then when we got to customs, they didn't have that Wi-Fi anymore. You had to connect to a different Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So, and you needed a password.
Oh.
So yeah, and I know this because I had to come up with an address of this location of our long-term stay. Sorry, peeps back home. And so
Who's up at this time?
right, it's like 4:30. Yeah,
4:30 in the
back
morning.
home.
Who's
Yeah.
drunk dialing you at 4:30 a.m.?
I don't know. I didn't look.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so I go up to the desk, I go to the customs desk, talking to the guy, he's looking at my passport, all my stuff, everything's in line, and then he notices that I don't have an address on the paperwork for our long-term stay. So he's like, what's your address? And I was like, I'm not sure. Whatever's written there is all the information we have. I was like, is that not good enough? And he's like, no. And obviously language barrier between me speaking zero Thai and them speaking
Very
little English kind of made it hard. So I'm standing with this guy for, I'm going to say about 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes, somewhere in there. And then not getting anywhere. And then a few more minutes go by, and he's still looking at my documentation. He's looking around. He's standing up at his desk. He's looking around at this point, and then he calls over one of his supervisors. So this guy at customs desk had 0 stripes on his shirt.
Okay.
First guy that came and I talked to had 2 stripes on his shirt, on his shoulders. So I'm guessing like military ranks, right? So obviously pecking chain of order. So he comes up and I start talking to him at the desk, and then he takes me away and he takes me back out from the desk back towards the first desks where the people were standing off to the side, and he makes me pull out all my paperwork, and he's looking at my paperwork, and he's like, so where are you staying? And I was like, Princeton Bangkok Hotel is our ASQ, and then he's like, where do you go after that? And I was like, to Atlantis Condos, we go to Pattaya City. And
I don't think you would have said that. So I don't think you knew. So here's the thing.
No, I did at that point because I had already opened up the email. So when I was
But it was
talking
in
to the
Russian.
person-
So here's the other thing. Is
Yeah.
our reservation is in Russian.
it's in Russian, yeah, but we can translate
Yeah.
it. So I translated, I showed the guy, and at first I didn't realize it was Russian because I didn't even know, I just thought it was Thai. I was like, we're coming to Thailand, it was Thai. I'd never seen Thai writing before I did. I was oblivious, so whatever. So I open it up, and I show it to him, and he's like, what is that? And I was like, I don't know, I can't read that.
He thought he could.
Well, I thought he could, but then I realized that it wasn't, I realized shortly after that it wasn't Thai, that it was a different language, and then I realized it was Russian. But so anyway, so then he calls over a supervisor. Supervisor comes, takes me away, goes through all my paperwork, and then for the next 15 minutes, he just is kind of standing there, and he's like, I wonder what I can do for you. I wonder what I can do for you. And he just kept saying this over and over and over for 12, 13, 14 minutes, somewhere in there, 15 minutes, and then you just walk away. And just leave me standing there.
I don't know, at this point, I'm just chilling in the van with this older dude, becoming best friends with him, asking him about Thailand, and I say to myself, I was like, I wonder if he got lost. It's like, there's no way. There are more employees than there are travelers in the Bangkok airport.
Oh yeah, and it was super simple. Like you go to customs.
Yeah, they walk you through everything.
They walk you to the carousel.
Yes.
You get your bags, and then the door to go out is right at the other end of the carousel, right? So
and there's a ton of people because every ASQ has a driver that's there.
Yeah. So that wasn't an issue when I finally got there, which was nice because all my luggage was already loaded up.
Yeah.
As soon as I finally got past the customs desk, the airport employees already knew my name. They're like, Mr. Luciano Joseph. They're like, your stuff's right over here. Come this way. I already had my stuff on a cart ready to go. But so this guy, I'm talking to the second guy at this time, and he just kept saying that over and over. I wonder what I could do for you. And then he'd just walk away. And then he'd come back 5-10 minutes later, and then do the same thing. He's like, you got an address? I was like, no. I was like, I don't have an address. He's like, where's your buddy? And I was like, he's probably in the van already.
You tried calling me.
Yeah, and they're like, call him. And I was calling you and calling you and calling you, and nothing going through. But then I realized, well, I had to connect to a different Wi-Fi, so you probably didn't have.
Well, and I was outside of the airport, so
yeah.
The other network probably was out of rate. I probably didn't have any Wi-Fi, or it was a very faint signal.
Yeah, and it was probably So
I had nothing to do, and so I'm terrified. I thought maybe you like murdered somebody.
I almost did. It was crossing my mind, man. I was legit. I was like, they're not turning me away.
I was thinking of all these, like, there's no way he could possibly have gotten lost in the airport. So maybe in his past life he murdered somebody. He didn't tell me, and he's being held in international warrants or extradition or something.
Well, I think that would have happened when we went through Japan and.
Wow. But then you come to the van and you look at me, and your face is just like.
Oh, I was so mad at you.
At me? Well, this is the thing.
I was cursing you in the airport. I was like, I was like, that asshole's sitting in the van probably, and I'm gonna get turned away. I was like, fuck me.
So here's the problem. Whenever you give me any responsibility, the problem. I mean, this is really the only thing that was my fault was the fact that we booked in a Russian language and we couldn't read but there was nothing I could have done different.
No, it was just that we didn't have, like, you had one job, and I was like, you had one fucking job, get the address, and you didn't get an address, and we couldn't. And
I asked for it,
and we couldn't get it, and I know that's not you. Like, I know we asked because I was there, and because I asked you prior to leaving a few times.
Well, and I asked,
and I know we sent the guy messages, and he just wasn't giving it to us, right? So. But I was just mad at the whole situation. So like at this point, I'm standing there I've probably been in customs for an hour, I would say, at this point. And then finally another person comes and talks to me. A lady comes, and then she's a little bit more helpful than the other guy, than the second guy that I talked to.
How many stripes on her shirt?
She only had one. Okay. So they brought in a demoted employee, so she has one, and then so I still same thing, no address, not go in. She's like, we take this stuff very serious, this and that. I was like, I get it. I was like, I've showed you guys. I was like, I've showed this same paperwork for like 10 times to fly from Canada to here. I said, I know how serious you're taking it because we spent a week doing paperwork back home just to come here. I get it. But I was like, all my stuff is in order. I was like, I have my phone open. I was like, look here's my confirmation number. Here's where we're staying. This is the name. So we're trying to Google this place.
Yeah.
Can't do it. I can't get Google to work on my phone at the airport because the Wi-Fi and stuff, because I'm guessing it's very limited in the customs area. So I can't Google this. I can't anything. So then I'm done dealing with this lady. The second guy comes back with the 2 stripes, and again spends 15 minutes just standing there asking me for the address, asking me where my buddy is, call your friend, where are you staying, and kept saying, I wonder what I can do for you. And he just kept saying it over and over, and then he'd just walk away again. So he left me again for like, I'm standing there for 10, 15 minutes by myself, like arms in the air, trying to call you, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do.
And at this point, I'm thinking this is my fault too. And I'm like, I mean, I called, so if you've watched previous videos on this channel, you'll know that when we did the planning, I called the embassy, I would say probably about 20 times, because I was paranoid of a situation like this. I really was. And so I did feel like it was on my responsibility a little bit in the van. But I asked them so many times, what all do we need to do to make sure we get in?
Yeah.
And they had actually called me from the embassy one day saying that our names weren't on the Airbnb reservation, so we needed that. And they also mentioned the address. But I told them, I said, this is all we were provided.
Yeah.
And the host that's here wasn't responding to messages. I don't know if maybe he just couldn't read English or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. We're going from one country to another country and
using
dealing
a
with
third-party
somebody.
language.
Yeah, and dealing with somebody from a different country, right? Like it just the whole situation's kind of was a shit show. But like we planned this very fast. Like within basically a week, 10 days, it was start to finish planned, and we were on a plane. So
yeah, I mean, we had this planned for a long time.
Well, we talked about it for a long time, but we didn't.
But to put everything in order was well within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was
like until we actually started booking things, I really didn't think we were going.
No. And
until right up until that day.
Even when we arrived in Bangkok, it was still like, you might not be coming to Thailand there.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like it was crazy. So then after this guy leaves, and I'm standing there again by myself, then I talk to another lady, and she comes and she's got 3 stripes on.
Oh.
So like now I'm getting somewhere. I think I'm like, okay, this lady came up and like she's got 3 stripes, so she's got to be somebody important. So like I spend the next half hour, 35 minutes with this lady, and we're Googling, and I'm showing her everything in my paperwork, everything on my phone. Like this is all I got. She's trying to Google the place. She's trying to everything. She couldn't, obviously translation issues between me and her. She couldn't figure out what I was saying. The site was either in Russian or English, and she couldn't read either. So we were having trouble finding this place to get an actual address. But then when she did find a building that was it actually ended up being kind of close to this.
Okay.
But she, again, no house number on it, no building number. So she's like, I need a building number. So like she was just gonna forge any address by the sounds of it, because it wasn't the place we were staying at. So then, like I said, like 35 minutes with this lady, and then she leaves. And then I'm by myself again. And then that dummy comes back again for another 10, 15 minutes, standing around saying, where's your buddy? Same questions. What's the address? Where are you staying? Wonder what I can do for you. So he leaves again. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I'm done with this. I was like, I have no idea where this is. So I just looked up an address, and I put an address. And it's nowhere close. When I looked on the map when we got to the hotel, it's on the other side of Patio. Like, it's not even close. It's like 40 kilometers away from where we're staying.
Pattaya.
Pattaya?
Pattaya?
Yeah.
Pattaya?
Pattaya?
No. Pattaya.
Pattaya? Pattaya City?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you probably have the information at Thai immigration, and they're going to come find you and kick you out because you forged.
Well, yes, because then when we were in the hotel, we had a booklet to fill out.
And part of it was address.
Because, and we
still said we don't know.
We had to fill it out because we are, like, I'm guessing everybody else staying at the hotel, theirs would have already been printed out, but we didn't have an address on any of our forms on like for that part of it, so we had to fill it out. So I messaged you in the room, and I got somewhat of a more exact location of where we're staying.
Well, so I got asked that too, and I said to the hotel staff, I said, I don't know. We weren't given one.
Yeah.
And then she said, that's okay. Well, just give it whenever you get it. So finally, like a day or two later, I get a message with what I think is the full address, but turns out we didn't even get that full address till yesterday.
Yeah.
As we were driving here, we still didn't have the full address. And when we were in the cab, our Thai cab driver, he was asking us where we stayed, and this is a huge complex. We had no idea.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I've never been to Thailand before.
So we stop at this condo resort, and there's a Thai person who's letting everyone through, and he asks, he's like, where are you staying? I don't know. So I had to go with my passport into the office, and then finally I got the actual unit number of where we're staying. So I gave that to the staff here, and we got let in, and then you left a bag in the cab.
No, the cab driver did, man.
He even asked us as we were leaving, he's like, you got anything? We took a final look in the back seat.
Yeah,
everything's in there.
But he put one in the front seat. He drove all the way from Bangkok to Pattaya with one of my pieces of luggage in the passenger seat on the floor.
Yeah, so we come up here, we start getting here, and then you had this blank look on your face. He's like, you gotta call that cab driver back. And lucky for us,
yeah,
we were talking to him about traveling throughout Thailand, and he said it's a good thing we were kind of chit-chatting with him, because otherwise
he could have been
your
gone.
bag is gone.
And that's all that in that bag is all my shorts and t-shirts, socks, but don't really need socks in Thailand. But like I definitely need shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah.
Like,
So he gave me a card, and so I called him, and immediately he's like, oh yeah, I stopped already. So he didn't even leave. He noticed right away.
Well, as soon as he got in the car, he would have noticed that there was a big blue suitcase sitting beside him.
Yeah, so he didn't even drive away. He's just chilling.
Yeah, I went down there. He's having a cigarette. Bag was in the lobby area waiting for me.
Yeah. And so we said goodbye to him, and yeah.
Not a good experience the first 2 weeks for me in Bangkok.
Oh man, and then we get here, and we don't have internet access.
Yeah.
And it said so this Airbnb has been a nightmare for us, honestly. We don't have internet. It says it on the list, and they said it's not included. So we still don't have internet. So I don't even know when you're watching this. This video might come out in May.
But good point.
But who knows?
One key and no internet.
We've been here one day. So yesterday was our first full day in Pattaya, and we went out last night, met some very friendly prostitutes,